Well, hello guys, welcome back to John's Workshop, and this is episode 12, and hurrah, we've got power. So I've been busy getting the armour cable fitted, and that's with every job has its challenges, but we got there in the end, so that's all fitted now. Wired up, obviously the wiring was all in the garage anyway, but a bit more work in the consumer unit. And then once I got everything powered up, went round testing all of the sockets just to make sure that they're all safe. I've got a socket tester just to make sure that earth's working properly and that they're all tripping the trips when you test them, so everything's fine. So that's all good. The lights, jury's out at the minute. They're incredibly bright. They're really just ideal for in the workshop, but I can see on the camera screen, and I don't know whether that's being filmed like that or whether it's just the resolution of the little LCD screen on the camera, but I am seeing some sort of interference that I think the lights giving to the filming, so that may be an issue, and I don't know whether there's anything I can do in the settings or whatever with the EV values or something to try and improve that, but I can definitely see some shimmering on the video, so we'll see how that comes out. If it becomes a problem, then I'll need to do something different, and it might be a new camera that I need or whatever. But anyway, so you join me just in the middle of, I'm going through, now I've got everything finished, the bench. I still need to do something with the top of the bench, which is going to be more of a job now because I've got loads of stuff on it, but anyway. What I have done is I've got some sort of lin bin type things that you'll see at the back corners there that I've fitted. I've had those for a long time. Again, it's little purchase, it's all plastic stuff, but again, it's stuff that I've, knowing that I was going to do a workshop, I've bought over time, and I think they've been sat in the back room in the house for about 2 years since I bought them. So I'm just going through filling some of those up now. And I'll just take you to the bench and show you kind of what I'm filling them up with in a bit more detail. So we're over at the bench now, guys, and this sort of left hand section is going to be for turning inserts, I think. Again, I might change all of this at some point, but for now, turning inserts. And you'll see lots of sort of commercial boxes there. I need to be very clear about this because various people at various different industries over the years have been caught nicking stuff and sticking it on eBay and selling it and all that kind of thing. All of this stuff here is genuinely was going in the rubbish. It was all being chucked out at various different companies I've worked at over the years, and because I knew that one day I was going to have a workshop, I did the right thing and asked, look, rather than this going in the bin or in the scrap, can I take it? And the answer was yes, and I got a little note, as I left work. So it's all been acquired perfectly legally, but over years and years and years, and I'm talking over probably 20 years I've been at this, really, because I've always known that one day I was going to have a workshop and be doing stuff myself, so this has been a long time in the making. So what we've got is, and I've yet to do some more segregation, but basically I've segregated them at the minute by insert shape. And the boxes that they're in aren't the actual inserts. In a lot of the cases there's a varied mix of different inserts in each one, but they're all these are all CNMG style inserts, which is one of the main turning tools I've got for my lathe is a CNMG, so spot on. Now lots of these have been used on various edges, some on all the edges, some on just some of the edges, but again, it's aerospace, it's all aerospace application, and a used insert in aerospace is completely different to a used insert anywhere else. It's probably only had 5 minutes in cut or something, so there's plenty of life left in some of these. Some of them are brand new, and there's a mixture of new and used in all of these boxes. So I've got the CNMGs. There's a varied mix of sort of V-style, I think these are V-style or D-style inserts, sorry. Where's the camera? It would help if I was showing it. There you go. And again, just ignore the label because that'll be something else. These are just boxes that I've put everything in that I've had, you know, again, they will go in the bin. The plastic boxes in industry, hundreds of these things get chucked in the bin every week. And again, I've squirreled them away, asked if I could take them. Answer was yes, because they're only going in the, you know, in the waste. So I've collected the boxes. So whatever's on the label is nonsense, you know. It's just something to store the inserts to stop them clattering together, really. The bigger V-style inserts in there. I've got a varied mix of kind of grooving, and these are far too big for my lathe, you know. But again, they were just getting chucked away. So thinking on those is, you know, I'm never going to have a lathe, I don't think, big enough to drive these properly. But what you can do with this stuff is, you know, you can silver solder them onto various different bits of tooling and grind them up or whatever to make boring bars or, you know, grooving tools or whatever, form tools. So it's just for the raw carbide really that I picked them up. So I've got various different parting and grooving inserts. Sort of more of the big sort of D-style inserts. Without going into too much detail, then I've got a load of the sort of square, I think these are squares, yeah, different square inserts. Now these are more the size for my lathe, you know, for small tools for the lathe. So various different ones, and again, ignore the boxes. They were just empty boxes. And then there's a whole load of I've got some triangular inserts, big and small, and I think down here there's more load of different square inserts. So I've more to unpack yet. You know, this is all sat in the boxes, various different boxes. So I'm just trying to organise things a little bit now. But you know, in terms of the workshop now, I'm really pleased. I've got power. I can plug all the machines in at the wall. I'm not tripping over extension leads anymore. We've got the bench complete. Apologies, I should have shown that really first, because that's one of the things that got done yesterday. So you can see there the bottom shelves are all in now, and I've got the welders for now sat on that bottom row. And then on the other side, just bear with me, I've got my compressor and just some toolboxes, various different things. So I'll just show you the other stuff that I'm going through. So apologies, handheld at the minute, just bringing you in closer on the bench. There we go. So this is all milling stuff, and you'll see at the bench, so that's where the turning inserts are at the left. Over on the right hand side I've got another set of limb bins over there, ready to go, and the plan there is milling stuff, and here is a selection of milling stuff that again, it was all scrap, it was all stuff that was either going to go into the scrap carbide, or it's stuff, you know, some of these are brand new, never been used, they were bought for various different applications. Like these aren't standard end mills, they're two flute with a form on the front end, so they're not, you know, they're not a standard end mill, but the flank, the short area of the flank is fine, and also the stock of the carbide's fine. So if you wanted to make a boring bar out of that or something, perfectly usable. They were just being chucked away, and they're all solid carbide, and it's just, you know, there's loads and loads of the things. A varied mix of solid carbide end mills up to sort of 12mm biggest. Again, they've been used, but you know, they're as good as new, some of those. So, and they were just getting thrown. They were bought with a specialist coating on for a particular job, and then not used anymore. So that's why there's a whole load of those. And then down to the sort of smaller stuff, you know, there's a whole varied mix of ball end mills and you know, just normal parallel shank end mills, various different sizes, and some of these will be oddball sizes. They'll not be your standard 3, 4, 5mm. They'll be various different imperial oddball sizes and stuff that were used for certain jobs. But so a collection of those over the years. There's a whole bag of other bits in it. Yeah, it's all solid carbide. There's tiny little things in there. You know, up to sort of 3, 4, 5 millimeters. And then some various other bits and pieces, again, sort of specialist one-off form tools and stuff that, you know, I don't think I'll probably ever do anything with that, but again, it was getting chucked in the bin, so I picked it up. We've got some Iscar, I think these are Minimaster type M-mill ends. I don't have a Minimaster tool, but I could get myself one, or I could even make one. It's a square thread on the end, can't be that difficult to make something like that. So sorry, it's Multimaster, not Minimaster. So again, I think most of these have been used, but they were being chucked away, so I've snaffled those many years ago. But yeah, there's just a selection of various bits and bobs of end mills and carbide inserts. You know, they're all going to come in handy at some point. This is an interesting one. There's a multi-flute solid carbide cutter there. 7, 8, 9, 10 or 11 flutes, something like that. But again, a big lump of solid carbide that can be used for something else. So that's what I'm up to at the minute. Just working through some of that stuff. But this is just a bit of an update video really on the shop, and maybe some plans for a job tomorrow. If you look up there at the consumer unit, considering I'm not a Sparky, I think I've done a reasonable job. The armour cable is not the easiest of stuff to work with if you're not used to it, so that's been a bit of a giggle. But we've got it all in, and it's all, you know, it's all solid. Consumer units in with all the correct labelling for the various circuits. I do have 2 spare circuits there should I want to put any more or different lighting in. I've got that option. And then a job for tomorrow. I think we're going to get some machining done tomorrow, which is going to be nice. I've a bit more tidying up to do, various bits and bobs of boxes and stuff to still tidy. But this thing, this is the saw, and it's been, don't get me wrong, it's been fantastic doing the bench, cutting all the steel work and everything. But in terms of a design flaw, if I just open this a tiny bit so I can shut that down. When this is stored in its park position down there, you probably wouldn't notice this error. But when this is stored in the upright position, which is perfectly acceptable to do, and to be honest, I think it's probably better because you've not got the spring under load, so the spring's in a relaxed state with it in the vertical position. If you look at the vise, you know, that's fully closed. There's 6 or 7 inches of bar sticking out the front that's completely unused. It's just surplus to requirements. So, and you can see it sticking out into the sort of walk area. I mean, it's not so bad now. I've got the garage cleared and I've got plenty of room to walk around. But when I've been fighting, you know, round stuff and building the bench, the amount of times I've whacked my leg on it and walked into it. So, quick job for tomorrow. We're going to take this whole rod off that moving jaw, and we're going to shorten that. The plastic end thing just screws off, and there's a thread under there. So we're going to shorten that right down, screw the plastic end piece back on, right close to the back of the jaw, and then I'm not sure whether this is tube or whether it's solid. I've got a feeling it's solid. If it is solid, what I'm going to do is cut that into 2 separate chunks and drill a clearance hole right the way through the middle, and I shall use that for the 2 spacers that the saw was missing between the frame and the underside of the saw bed. So I'll be able to make 2 spacers out of that, rather than just chuck it in the scrap bin. You know, I'll make use of it. So little job for tomorrow. Nothing too fancy, but I might get on with that as a first machining job. Now we've got everything wired up and powered up and well lit and all the rest of it. So hopefully you'll see a difference in the quality of the video with the lighting being much better. You know, it's taken a long time to get to, well, it's not taken that long. I only started in, I think it was Easter Sunday, I really got stuck into this in anger. So I've only been at it probably 5-6 weeks, something like that, but there's been a lot of time put in to get it to the state it's at, and I'm now really pleased with it. There's a few more bits and bobs to do, but largely it's in a usable state now. I can get round the machines. I'm starting to unpack the rest of my tooling. Oh, one last thing I was going to show you, a new purchase that's arrived this week. Just there. Just move these boxes. So, granite surface table. It's 300 by 300 by 70, I think, 70 thick. So that's come. It came with its own inspection certificate as well, and it's a 00 grade inspection table. I've kept the cover on it because I've been working obviously up at the consumer unit, which is just above it. So we've got that now, and I'm going to keep that down this end of the bench. And I looked out when I did my toolbox tour, I didn't show this. This was squirreled away in the bottom of the toolbox. I need to get it all out, but it's it needs a bit of TLC. There's a bit of rust under there that we'll need to get off, but it's an Eclipse number 106. Scribing block, or what we have, scribing base, DTI base, whatever the proper terminology is for it. You know, it's in good condition really. It's still all freed up. It just needs a bit of work on that underside. So we're going to get that cleaned up and sat up on the surface plate. I'll not put it on there yet until I've sorted all that mess out underneath. And then obviously it comes with the rods and the units to stick a DTI into, and again they need a little bit of cosmetic surgery, but nothing too serious. It's all still moving, just a bit of surface rust that needs a bit of a clean. So we'll get those cleaned up, and we'll get one of my DTIs mounted in that and get that put up on the surface plate for checking. There's a bit more work to do with the bench. I've made the end pieces. I think at the last film I did, I'd only got the middle piece done. I've now made the two end pieces at each end. You'll see everything's loose still at the minute. It all needs fixing down and fixing together, so I've still to drill up from the underside and fix everything down to the bench. Both these, the fronts sort of face and the top face on all of this has had a real good sanding, so it's now ready for a coat of varnish or epoxy or whatever I decide to do with it. And that's why I've not screwed it down yet, because that's going to be far easier to do. Well, maybe not. It's probably going to be far easier to do on the top, judging by how heavy it is to move around. But anyway, I've got the option of pulling it back off if I want to. So that's a bit of an update of stuff that's been going on. You know, the big job's been the electrics and the wiring. You know, I'm not an electrician, but you know, there's plenty of material out there and resources to show you how to do stuff. And you know, I've taken my time. Everything's been done properly. There's no slack joints. There's not, you know, nothing's been, no short corners taken or anything like that. So there's a bit of cosmetic work I need to do, just where the armour cable came in as well. It's just where I poked the drill through. I actually used a hole saw on this side first to put a hole in the wood, and then I stuck a small drill through and out the wall, but then I needed to put a big drill back through from the other way. And the reason I did it in that order, I've got rough cast on the outside of the wall, and I didn't want to just stick the big drill straight through from the inside, because it will probably fetch off a load of the rough cast. As the big drill came back in this way, it's just taken a bit of the timber off, but a bit of white paint and that'll be fine. So that's the update, guys. Very quick one really. Apologies there's no machining or anything like that today. It's just a quick short update in terms of where we've got to with the shop. The only other thing I have done, the keen-eyed amongst you might have spotted it, is the stores cupboard has now moved sides of the garage. It's now on this side, away from the saw, which just opens everything up a little bit more. And some of the other boxes I've got in the garage now, I need to take stuff out and start filling this cupboard up properly with various bits and pieces. So, also as part of the sort of going through all my old boxes and stuff and getting stuff out now, I've got a load of ER32 collets in various stages. These are decent ones as well. They're not the sort of import quality, but they're all a bit rusty, quite mucky. And again, these were just getting chucked in a skip. But you know, it's all made in Germany. I don't know what make they are, but they're obviously good quality. So what I have got and what I need to bring down, it's up in the attic at the minute, is a little ultrasonic cleaner. So now we've got power in the garage, I'll nip indoors, we'll grab that, we'll bring that down. I've not really used it in anger yet. I've done a few bits and bobs of old reamers and stuff, and it does a reasonable job. So we'll get that down and we'll bang these collets in. It's quite a small tank, so I'm probably going to need to do those in 2 batches, but we'll chuck them in and we'll give them a clean up, and then a light coat of oil. And then I think what I'm going to do is, in this drawer is one of the drawers of the tool cabinet, I'm going to make a wooden, just a wooden shelf for want of a better word, and I'll put a load of holes in and we'll set the collets out in there, because ER32 is a good size, you know, I can use that on the lathe and hopefully be able to use it on the mill as well. So we'll get those cleaned up. There's also an ER32 front nut as well that I managed to grab hold of, that was also getting thrown away. So you know, all this stuff's been built up over many years, and I can't walk past a skip without looking in it, unfortunately. Over the years I've amassed quite a lot of bits and bobs, you know, with the end game going to be that I'm going to spend time doing stuff for myself. So we'll get these cleaned up and we'll see what they look like when they've been through the ultrasonic cleaner. Oh, well, there we go then, guys. We've rescued the ultrasonic cleaner from the loft. I've used it only once or twice. It's a professional ultrasonic cleaner, so none of your amateur stuff. So we'll crack on. We'll put a few of these collets in and just see how many we can get in. You know, it's a tiny little basket really, but it's okay for small parts like this. Ideal. So we'll just put a few of these in. I'll try and find some of the worst ones. That's probably one of the worst ones. Not really going to get any more than that in, I don't think. I'll probably do it for the first batch. So we'll drop them in. You'll have seen this before. This is my fire extinguishing pot when I'm welding. So we'll just put some of this water in. I'm going to need a bit more. Be back in a minute. This is proper deionised water out of the water butt, so I'm sure that'll be fine. And they're all nicely covered now. And then I've got this stuff that I got with it, which is it's an oxidation removal ultrasonic cleaning solution. So ideal. It says mix it at 10 to 1. So we'll have a bit of a guess at what that looks like. I think that's about 10 to 1. Put the lid on. I've really no idea what temperature to use. We'll probably go for 50 degrees C, and I don't know, we'll stick them on for, we'll stick it on for an hour. That's it. I'll bring you back in an hour and we'll see what that looks like. I might, if they look a bit still not clean, I'll stick them on for a bit longer. But yeah, it's nice to be able to start doing jobs and be able to plug things in and switch them on and not be tripping over extension cables. It's a real big day. So I'm starting to do some jobs around the workshop now, which is good. Okay, I'm going to prepare tomorrow's video, well, tomorrow's planned project, which is the bandsaw. I'm going to just prepare a little bit of that while that's cleaning, so that when I'm filming tomorrow I've got stuff to hand ready for that video. I'll bring you back in a bit when they've had a bit of cooking time. While we're waiting for the collets to clean up, I'm just going to start thinking about what I'm going to do with this vice post on the bandsaw. So I've got the vice at its full close position there. I've had a look at the clearance underneath. I don't think I'm going to go right up to the jaw. I'm probably going to leave 15mm. So I'll put a mark on there. And now we'll see if we can extract this. Just an Allen key. Well, judging by the weight of that is solid. That's actually ground. That's interesting. I don't know what material that is, but that feels quite heavy. I'm wondering if that's quite hard. Anyway, we'll give it a go. We've got our little mark, so we'll either try and part that off on the lathe, or I'll saw it off. I might even use the bandsaw in its vertical position and just saw that off, and then we'll take that off the end. That's all very well. This, I said it on the review video, this base unit, it's all fairly well put together. I mean, those threads look a bit not very well finished off, but it's all very solid. Anyway, we'll that's ready for tomorrow. We'll have a go at that. We'll cut this end piece off. We'll measure that thread up so we know what it is. We'll need to put the same thread on the end of here, so I need to allow for that when I'm cutting off. So we'll cut off a bit longer by the length of the thread. Just make sure I've got something that I can put the thread back on with from a die perspective, and then if not, it'll be a screw cutting job, which I'm not sure I've got the gear for yet, but I'll just need to have a quick look. So that's ready for tomorrow now. That's good. I'll bring you back when the collets are finished cleaning. Yeah, I'm just trying to get into the swing of this filming thing, and it's all been DIY. So I know I switched the camera off a bit too early there. So we've got the vernier and we'll work out what this thread is. So we'll measure it up. It's sort of saying 9.8 millimetres, so I'm guessing that's an M10. We'll go to my trusty Zeus book from when I was an apprentice. We'll find the metric threads. I think it's 1.5 from memory, but we'll have a look. So M10 is 1.5 pitch. We'll get the thread gauges out. There we go, we've got 1.5 pitch there. And that's, I don't know whether you can see that, but that's a perfect fit. So it's M10 by 1.5. So I'll have a look and see if I've got a die that'll do that for me. So with that, guys, that's done about an hour and a half, I think. So we'll have a quick look and see what they look like. I don't know whether this is going to work. They're going to be warm, I would think. Well, they're certainly clean. It's left like a black, almost chemical black surface finish, but there's certainly no oxidation left on there. There's no rust left on there. I think we'll leave those to. I'll get them all out, and we'll leave them to dry and cool off. And then I think they're probably just going to need a light rub with a bit of Scotch-Brite, some very fine Scotch-Brite, and some oil, and they should be absolutely fine. But it's certainly got rid of all the rust and oxidation's definitely gone. So that's good. I'll get them all out. We'll let them dry off, and then we'll polish one up, and I'll show you what that looks like. Well, there we go, guys. That's the first one, all the way through the process. So what I've done is given them all a bath of oil straight out the wash as soon as they'd dried, just to stop them flashing over with rust. And they're just sat in a tray like this. So they've been completely soaked in 1040 motor oil, and they'll stay like that overnight. But I just gave one a quick rub over. That's a 19 to 20 mil, and that's pretty good. I'm pleased with that. They're going to make a useful set of collets when they're all cleaned up. So a bit more work for the rest of them. What I'll do tomorrow while I'm doing the modification on the bandsaw, I'll finish cleaning the rest of those ones up, and I'll pop those ones in the tank. I'm just going to leave the same water and solution in until the morning. I think it'll be fine just to do that next batch, and then I'll have a decent set of ER32 collets at that point. I think I've got most of the sizes there. I've not really been through them and checked whether I've got any missing, but just looking at the range, there's a reasonable range there. So, and if there's the odd one or two missing, I can always just buy one or two collets to make the full setup. And then, as I said, I'll create a wooden rack of some sort. Find out the right size hole to stick through it, so that they'll all sit neatly in there, and then I'll stick them away in one of the drawers in the cabinet. Okay, good. I'll leave that there for now, and then I'll take the footage that I've got in the house and sort of stitch it all together, and it'll be a bit sort of bits and pieces this episode. It was really about a bit of an update on the electrics more than anything, but it's nice to start doing some proper work in here, so that's why I've done a few bits and bobs. So I'll go and stitch all this together, and hopefully we'll get something uploaded tonight. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. There's 1 or 2 new subscribers keep coming along, so thank you to the new subscribers. I hope you're finding it interesting, and finally we're in a position now to move on from painting and wiring and all the rest of it, and start getting on with some proper projects. So looking forward to that. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.